a historic day in the history of professional wrestling as WWE and TNA Wrestling have entered into an official multi-year partnership together. We are going to take a look at this announcement. We're going to break down what this could mean, why this is happening, and what the possibilities are going to be for TNA, WWE, Invasion, potentially. All that and much more right here in this video. So be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, let's get right into it. Historic day in professional wrestling as TNA and WWE have announced a new multi-year partnership. This according to a press release that TNA released earlier today. I'm going to read it as follows. Title: WWE TNA Wrestling announced multi-year partnership. January 16, 2025, WWE, part of TKO Group Holdings, and TNA Wrestling, one of the world's top wrestling brands and a subsidy of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, today announced a multi-year partnership aimed at creating unprecedented crossover opportunities between WWE and TNA programming for NXT superstars and TNA wrestling stars. The agreement will enable talent to garner additional exposure across key WWE and TNA programming, including weekly flagship shows such as NXT, which airs live on the CW, and TNA Impact, select WWE premium live events, and TNA pay-per-views, in turn bolstering their in-ring development with exposure to world-class talent and coaching. Goes on to read a quote from one of the executives at TNA. This historic relationship demonstrates that collaboration and competition do not have to be mutually exclusive, said Ariel Scherner, sorry if I mispronounced that, Senior Vice President in Content and Distribution of TNA Wrestling and Anthem Sports and Entertainment. Our partnership allows the TNA brand and its incredible athletes to reach a significantly wider audience while giving WWE and NXT stars an opportunity to cross the line, and gain valuable experience as they join forces with one of the most talented rosters in professional wrestling today. Their response to our collaboration over the past year has been tremendous, and both companies have benefited, but the fans have reaped the greatest reward from this talent crossover and working relationship. Goes on to actually read a quote from Shawn Michaels. We look forward to growing and evolving our partnership with TNA Wrestling and its outstanding group of athletes by creating new opportunities to further the development of our talent and to elevate the viewer experience at home, said WWE SVP of Talent Development Creative Shawn Michaels. For TNA Knockout World Champion Jordan Grace and Joe Henry, former TNA Walkouts World Champion Jordan Grace and Joe Henry frequently appeared on NXT programming in 2024, highlighted by an NXT Championship match featuring Henry and Ethan Page at No Mercy, and an NXT Women's Championship match featuring Jordan Grace and Roxanne Perez at Battleground. All right, so that is generally the gist of things. A historic announcement that TNA, WWE is seemingly in partnership now. Actually, not seemingly. They are officially in partnership, I should say. And I will start with what this means for TNA. This is big. I'm going to be honest with you. This is probably the biggest thing to happen to TNA ever since, I would probably say, getting Kurt Angle. Definitely, I would say bigger, because this right here, I think, just sustained TNA as a viable business for years to come. It has been a long-running joke and honestly a long-running theory by many people in wrestling media that, is TNA profitable? like it's a legitimate question that has yet to have been answered. And the thing about the whole Anthem, owning it, right, is how much of TNA is a property that Anthem can have that, they can maybe hold on to long enough until they are able to sell it, right? That's always been the running theory about TNA. That's one of the big reasons why Anthem has it. And they're trying to turn the ship around for that reason. There is nothing bigger they could have done to turn the ship around, like standalone, like, a billionaire coming in and investing an insane amount of money into TNA. Nothing bigger could have happened. This is major because now the landscape changes. TNA, when they're going to go shopping for their next TV deal, I promise you this much. Beyond Axis, there will be some interest because of this agreement with WWE. It lifts the profile, it lifts the viability, and it lifts the interest that parties have in TNA because of a partnership they have with WWE. That is something that TNA in business meetings can tout that, hey, we are working with WWE. That is probably going to be a major selling point for the company when they look at ad sponsors, when they look at all of these different avenues of revenue and they're talking to third parties, they're talking to other people. That is what they are going to be focusing on primarily, that they are in partnership with the WWE. That is strictly from a business perspective. They also, in a couple of months, are going to be running the UBS Arena in Long Island, an arena that WWE and AEW on many occasions have filled up to the brim between 10 to 15,000 people. That is a major arena. That is one of the biggest arenas they've ran in over a decade. Right now, they're sitting at about 1,600 tickets sold in an arena that obviously can hold up to 15,000. This is going to help sell tickets because now you would think, in theory, they would be able to get stars from WWE. And I would think, while I know the press release said NXT, I would think that this opens the door potentially for other stars in WWE who may not be being used, who may not, whatever, to come and cross the line in TNA. One of them being AJ Styles, of course. And if we go to the WWE perspective, this is important because over the past year, Triple H has defined himself by doing his best to be different from Vince McMahon as a booker and as a businessman. I am not going to get into some of the other stuff, but as a booker and businessman, he has tried in many ways to differentiate himself from Vince McMahon, and this is probably the most un-Vince McMahon move he could have done, because Vince would not have thought twice about, working with TNA. He just wouldn't have done it. It would have been a non-starter, It would have been something that he never would have entertained. Yet Triple H, with this WWE ID program, with the partnership now with TNA, he understands it. And I think that wrestler's perspective is important. Because one thing I can assure you is Triple H understands this. That while it's good to have like the world's hottest talent and the best talent in the world on your roster so that you can use them whenever you need to, one of the issues of having those people is like, what do you do with them? What do you do with people who are sitting on the bench? What do you do when you have a bloated roster? You expand. You make sure that while they're still working for WWE, they need a place where they can get some buzz about them, where they can train, where they can wrestle, where they can continue to flesh out their characters. And again, I know the joke is that there's 1 million hours of WWE TV per week, and there is. The roster is so big right now, it would not hurt for people to do excursions in TNA. For AJ Styles, someone who is not being used, of course, the injury stuff is kind of up in the air, but the big name, you would think that he would be back in TNA doing something in some capacity before he retires. I think, one of those things of like, one of the worst things about WWE getting so big in the late 90s or the late 80s, early 90s was the death of the territories. Because it used to be the case that, when you're in a place for so long and you dominate that place, or you've been a familiar face, you can't stay there forever. You can't stay on top forever. You can't keep doing the same thing forever. Sometimes you have to leave. And in the territories, you would go to another territory. And that's part of what Cody Rhodes kind of described. That's how he described his departure from NXT. It was one of those things from AEW, It was one of those things where sometimes it's just time to leave the territory. Sometimes it's just time to go see what else is out there. Sometimes it's just time to try something new. And I think this could open up, a world of potential for a lot of WWE stars. Obviously, from a business perspective, WWE is also using the hype that TNA has, attaching it to themselves, and they're going to maximize the value, to quote Mark Shapiro in that respect from a business perspective. Now let's talk about what everyone I know definitely wants to get into. We got to talk about this damn invasion potential. I know this would be in NXT. It's not going to be main roster. But I think WWE, Shawn Michaels' company, everyone, Chef Michaels, whatever you want to call him, got the potential to do some awesome invasion stuff with TNA and NXT, create a lot of hot buzz and some underground buzz. People are going to be talking about this. It's going to help TNA. It's going to help NXT. It's going to raise the profile and raise the exposure of a lot of these big stars in NXT because they're going to be fighting for something. They're going to be fighting to defend NXT. It's going to give them a purpose in the storyline, even though some of them may not be holding the title. I'm looking at Trick Williams. I'm looking at Roxanne Perez. I'm looking at a lot of these people in NXT, the people who kind of have helped define this era of NXT. And on the flip side, you got TNA, the underdog, the one that's trying to get noticed, the ones who are trying to make an impact. And you could do a thing. I described this when I said the AEW and New Japan should do some sort of an invasion angle around this Kenny Omega, Gabe Kidd stuff. I think it would be great for TNA and WWE to do that as well. I think if an NXT star goes to TNA, they're in hostile territory. They are the heel. But if they're in NXT, they're the babyface, and vice versa for TNA. There's so much potential there. This is a massive deal. And the fact that WWE is open to it, it shows you, just at least from this standpoint, from the wrestling, that they are definitely going in a different direction than they were under Vince McMahon. And that is what people have been clamoring for almost like 15 years at this point. So this is great. I love this. I can't wait to see what this does. Don't disappoint me, TNA. Don't disappoint me, WWE. We'll see. But guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about all of this. What do you think about TNA and WWE and this historic partnership? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you've made it this far in the video. Highly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.